And many of us are proud to say that our children do not speak Igbo. Now, languages are really wonderful. I think the more languages one can speak, the better. I personally would like to learn Hausa. I've always loved the music of the language. But the truth is that children can learn as many languages as we expose them to. But what is happening in Igbo land is not about whether children can learn languages or not. It is the result of the lack of value for what is ours. We do not value what is ours. And this lack of value is also reflected even in the contemporary Igbo practice of giving strange names to our children. Names we like, not because of their beautiful or deep meanings, but because they can be easily shortened to sound Western. Cassie, Zara, Jada. Unana Zaelia Fanenweri Synod. If any of you have those names, I won't blame you. It's your parents I blame. Igbo mulum jeche benine ne je benine Igbo mulum. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Ah, this is tough. Okay. Yes, is there a way we can... No? Okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Again, good evening to everybody. Ndinkem. Thank you so much for being here. And I have to apologize for being late. I'm very sorry. Mistake I made that. So I'm very happy to be here again. Good evening. Thank you all for being here. And I want to start by thanking the Center for Memories because they're doing the essential work of preserving our collective memories. I also want to thank my dear friend James Ngueze. James, okay. Get there. Ngueze. I want to thank James for the depth of his love for Igbo land, and I want to thank him for the breadth of his intellect. James actually persuaded me to deliver a lecture today rather than to read from Dream Count. Dream Count was published in March, and for the past few months, I've been traveling on book tour in different parts of the world, and now I am here, back home in Nigeria, and I consider this my homecoming. I was in Lagos a few days ago. I was in Abuja just 2 days ago, and now I am here in Enugu. I'm here in this beautiful city on the hill. I am here in the city of my birth. I drew my first breath about 2 kilometers away from where we are today, at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, on September 15, 1977. So although I was born in Enugu, I grew up in Nsukka, on the campus of the University of Nigeria. I am from Aba, in Njikoka, local government area of Anambra State. My mother is from Umunachi in Dunukofia, local government area of Anambra State. All are my homes. But more importantly, and I think more significantly, I consider all of Igbo land to be my home. From Enugu to Anambra, Imo, Abia, Ebonyi, and the Igbo-speaking communities in Rivers, in Kogi, in Benue, in Delta. All of them are home because all of them are Igbo land. Igbo, Igbo. Whenever I land at an airport, whether in Asaba or in Enugu or in Owerri or the wonderfully named Chino Achebe International Airport in Umueri, the overwhelming feeling for me is one of wholeness, an internal calm, an instinctive, ancestral peace. Or so it was for many years, until recently. I am not the only Igbo person who no longer feels this instinctive wholeness, this peace. I am not the only one who reads stories from Igbo land and turns away in horror, who sees what is happening in Igbo land today and is consumed by shock, disillusionment, and a feeling dangerously close to despair. In Igbo culture, nothing is more sacred than life. In Igbo culture, a sibling must never take the life of another sibling. That is what we mean when we call a child Ndoka, Ndubisi, Ndude. The preservation of life is sacrosanct. Things Fall Apart demonstrates this central Igbo belief in the sacredness of life. Okonkwo accidentally murders a member of his community. It is truly an accident. His gun goes off during a feast, and yet his community punishes him severely. His home is destroyed and burnt, and he's banished for years. And this was an accident. Now imagine the severity of the punishment for murder in Igbo culture. Igbo culture abhors the taking of innocent life. And yet, today, we hear grotesquely inhumane stories of people murdered in ritual practices for money. And it is important to note that the victims of this recent upsurge of barbarism are mostly women. It is not just infuriating, but it is mentally disorienting to even contemplate that in 21st century Igbo land, women are considered expendable ingredients in the blighted act of evil rituals. Igbo women who historically have been strong, have been valued. Igbo women like the Omu, whose boats led expeditions in pre-colonial times. Igbo women like the female king in Enugu Ezike. Igbo women who participated in the Aba women's riots in women's rebellion in 1929. Igbo women who through centuries have traded and shown initiative, and now we are reducing women to victims of money rituals. Ndi Igbo, what is happening to us? When did this particular reign begin to beat us? When we hear of Igbo people randomly murdering other Igbo people, the instinct is disbelief. Are these stories true? They cannot be true. But they are true. How can they be true? How can they be happening among one of the great early civilizations in West Africa? The home of the Leja iron smelting that dates back to 2000 BC. Ibuku bronze with its muted extravagance that dates back to the 9th century AD. The home of the fabled Nri kingdom of the 10th century. How can this be happening among a people traditionally known for greatness and for achievement and for hard work? How can this happen among Igbo people who have long been known for the interesting dualism at the center of their culture, one of individualism on one hand, and the other of a communal ethic? Igbo people who are known for gathering together to help one another. In the words of a missionary who visited Igbo land in the late 19th century, the Igbo people show an unbending sense of justice and a surprising intelligence. Now let us ignore that surprising. But the larger point is that Igbo people have long been known for greatness. And yet today, Igbo land is in disarray. Today we are overseeing our own decline. There are, of course, the smaller desecrations that we have wrought on ourselves in the past 30, 40 years, one of which concerns the Igbo language. We do not have a thriving Igbo literature. We cannot seem to reach a consensus on a classical form of written Igbo. And many of us are proud to say that our children do not speak Igbo. Now, languages are really wonderful. I think the more languages one can speak, the better. I personally would like to learn Hausa. I've always loved the music of the language. But the truth is that children can learn as many languages as we expose them to. But what is happening in Igbo land is not about whether children can learn languages or not. It is the result of the lack of value for what is ours. We do not value what is ours. And this lack of value is also reflected even in the contemporary Igbo practice of giving strange names to our children. Names we like, not because of their beautiful or deep meanings, but because they can be easily shortened to sound Western. Kasi, Zara, Jida. Unana Zaelia Fani Nweri Synod. If any of you have those names, I won't blame you. It's your parents I blame.